If you're using online password managers, please stop. We're living in a world where data gets breached every single day from every single company you know. And the company that claims never to have been hacked or data being stolen is either lying or not big enough to be relevant for hackers. Let's look at this from a hacker's perspective. Say you want to get as many passwords as possible with the least amount of effort because big data sets earn the most on the black market. Then do you target Bernd from Augsburg, Germany? Or do you target a website with 10 million passwords from at least 1 million people? And I regularly hear the argument, but they have to be secure, 100%, right? Are they? If they are, why do they still make headlines for all the wrong reasons? I mean, pretty much every major password manager had a breach somewhere in their history, whether it being publicly exposed or not. Whether it being LastPass, 1Password, NortonLifeLock, Dashlane, they've all been hacked in the past. I can assure you that storing your passwords in a Word document stored somewhere on your computer is 100 times more safe. And storing passwords in a Word document is not safe, by the way. Why? Well, it decreases the attack factor for a hacker. Password managers claim to create encrypted vaults for users. So in case of a breach, your data is encrypted and hackers can't do anything with that. But it turns out that is often marketing speak. The fact that online password managers are accessible online is a risk in and of itself. For example, geopolitical tensions can lead to shutdown of services or even whole countries. If one man at the top decides tomorrow that the rest of the world cannot use their passwords anymore, he can do that. Stranger things have happened in the past. And the cloud is just someone else's computer. Why do you think that someone else's computer is safer than yours? Because when you connect over the internet to another computer, you do that via generating network traffic. But that network traffic can be intercepted. And yes, there are protocols like TLS to make that more secure, and you should definitely use TLS because it decreases the attack factor. And TLS, by the way, is that padlock that you have in your browser next to your URL. But there are cases where TLS doesn't protect you. For example, you can make a typo in the connected URL, or you don't connect to the real server because of DNS spoofing. Those are just two scenarios. Then let's talk about the business model of online password managers. And it's not that little amount that you pay per month. They can make way more money by selling your data. They know who you are because of the billing data, they know where you're from, they know which websites you visit, they have the website and the password for it, how often you visit those websites, and how seriously that you take your security. For example, how often do you change your passwords? And I'm talking now only about the legit data. It is extremely tempting for them not to sell more. Big tech is sitting on a huge potential to make more cash, and that it is illegal or immoral didn't stop Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella or Tim Cook before. As an example, Facebook making millions of making people addicted by exploiting human psychology, not a problem. Or Instagram destroying teenagers' brains by looking at too perfect images wasn't enough to make Zuckerberg stop. And I have no tangible evidence that anything illegal is happening. But we all know that big tech and their moral compass, well, it often points in a different direction. And we all know that big corporations, especially the ones with an IPO, have never your best interest at heart, only their investors. And why is it such a big deal? Well, passwords are your whole life nowadays. From buying food to paying your taxes, getting your paycheck and even your pension. Why do you trust random strangers with your whole life? When you're walking in the city and there is a bank with all kinds of shady types hanging around that building all day, all night. They have tattoos, motorbikes, leather jacket, name all kinds of scary things. They have guns, they have knives, they have baseball bats, and you can see You know that they constantly try to rob the bank. And every time that you go in and out of the bank, they want to rob you as well. And do you think to yourself, this is a safe place. I want to go inside and store my most precious valuables there. No. But why do you want to do that with password managers? The bank is the site of the password managers, and the shady guys don't have guns but keyboards. I talked about the shady guys outside the building, but who says that the guys working at the bank can be trusted? A password manager is basically a random stranger on the street that shouts that he will keep your most precious valuables safe for just a little fee per month. And with those precious valuables, you can pay your food, your taxes, get your paycheck and your pension. Why do you trust that stranger? And what if that random guy on the street says, instead of €5 a month, I want to have 500 a month or 50,000 a month? And he can, because he has literally everything you own. He can extort you. And if you can't pay, he will take it from your vault. Sure, illegal, but that hasn't stopped a lot of people in the past. And maybe it isn't even illegal, maybe it is legalized because that someone has a friend in the government. Or the government decides all password managers are now state-owned. And sure, purely hypothetical, tinfoil hat, 100%. But I have seen stranger things happen over the last couple of months and years. I'm not surprised by anything anymore. Why would you open yourself up to that risk? The sad reality is that you cannot assume that anyone can keep your data safe. Even the big websites, everything will get hacked sooner or later, including password managers. And maybe that doesn't even reach the big media. Scary? Yes. But that is regretfully the era we live in. If hackers really want to hack you, they would have already done it. The only thing you can do is decrease the risk of that happening. You cannot stop hackers, you can only slow them down and make hacking you less interesting, so they go and pick an easier target. Do not use password autocomplete that comes with a lot of password managers, because that works with JavaScript and that can be interfered with other JavaScript of malicious actors. That can be, for example, via a plugin in your browser. Second, use open source password managers of which you can export your data when you need to, when you want to switch to another password manager. And no, open source is not 100% safe, but with open source, at least you have more security, that there are no backdoors, for example. A lot of smart people can look into the source code of the software. Then third, make sure that you store passwords locally on devices you own, so nobody can ever take it away from you. This also decreases the attack vector. Then fourth, don't do monthly subscriptions. A monthly payment for something as valuable as your passwords is asking for exploitation, because they can hold your data for ransom. Practically speaking, what can you do? Create a text file, a Word document, Excel document for example, and then encrypt that with a disk imager. macOS has one built in, and of course protect that image with a password. macOS has one built in, and for Linux and Windows you can use VeraCrypt. You can store that if you want on your NAS, if you want multiple computers to be able to use it. And of course, make sure that you back up that encrypted disk image once in a while so you can never lose it. An open source password manager like KeePass, it's a really funny name. They say it is KeePass, but I constantly read KeePass. Okay, KeePass XC stores your password on your own computer. The software itself is free and is available on multiple devices and operating systems. But that's not the only one, there are others. If you have more tips, then share those with us in the comments below.